Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Tri-County Logging. Experienced in sustainable forestry practices, Tri-County Logging can help you manage your property by keeping your woods healthy and generate income. Serving southern and mid-Michigan for nearly 50 years, TriCountyLogging.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson-Silik, and we've got an all-new exciting show in store for you this week. We kind of have a theme going. We're going to show you what you can be doing this time of year to enjoy our water wonderland here in our Great Lakes state. I'll take you out on iconic Lake St. Clair for some smallmouth bass fishing, and Jimmy's got some other excitement in store for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a few more things on this week's show. We're actually going to kick things off out of the port of Ludington, where they had their normal Fish On for Freedom event scheduled for a week or so back. Well, that got canceled, but some of the event coordinators were still able to get some deserving veterans out on a boat, and I was able to tag along. You won't want to miss that. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what is new in the world of fishing kayaks, so stay tuned for that. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Angler Quest Pontoons. Angler Quest is a Michigan-based company building boats designed for comfort and fishing functionality. For more information, anglerquestpontoons.com. By Green Mark Equipment. Green Mark Equipment is a John Deere dealership network in southwest Michigan and northern Indiana. Green Mark provides sales and services to farmers, commercial businesses, large property owners, and homeowners. Information about pricing and products available can be found online at greenmarkequipment.com.
Go out here, try to get some lake trout. Kings are kind of over in Sheboygan. We've gone offshore and got some steelhead yesterday, the day before. Tried to look for them yesterday and they were gone. So we're going to do some lake trout fishing. It's been pretty good, and then we're going to try and get some silvers.
And who do we got on board today?
Well, today we're doing a mini Fish On for Freedom because, of course, of the coronavirus and everything. We had to cancel the Fish On for Freedom, so we went ahead and got some guys on board that we normally fish with and come and fish. Unfortunately, my father-in-law, who we were really trying to get here, Ted Harvey, didn't make it. He passed away a few weeks ago. So we've got on board today his neighbor Scott and his dad Richie. We got Phil Ackley, and then we got Rod Simon and Jim Carr. They're all veterans here from the Army and the Marines.
Nice.
So, and also on crew we got Adam Knutson from Hiatus Charters and Bo Waite. He's mate in training, and he fishes with his family on official business.
Nice. And how's the fishing been the last few weeks?
As far as lake trout fishing goes, it's been phenomenal. I mean, really, really good. Kings have waned, steelhead when you can find them, but spring was fantastic.
I grew up in Ludington, so any chance to fish here is pretty special. And today was pretty special as well because the guys here did their own smaller version of an event called Fish On for Freedom.
So we're supposed to be having Fish On for Freedom, which is a veterans fishing event that we host here in Ludington, and it's free to veterans. They come, they get a day of fishing, and we have a luncheon and awards after the fishing tournament. We had to cancel this year with all the COVID-19 things going on, so we have some awesome vets that managed to make the trip with us today and got them out on the water. Beautiful day on Lake Michigan. Really can't beat it.
Now, and when did you guys start the Fish On for Freedom deal?
Now, I'm pretty sure it was 2015, so this would have been our 5th year. It was originally started by Brad Hacker, Adam Lamb, myself, and Sean Pomorski. And we've had really good success with it. We've taken hundreds and hundreds of veterans fishing through that. Rod is actually one of the vets who also runs a boat for it. It's just been a really great experience for us to kind of give back to those guys that gave so much for us.
There are so many great events around our state that take veterans out fishing. With most of them being canceled, it was a good reminder that we don't have to have a designated day to be kind and generous to others. Every day can be that. However, we had an upcoming net job that, well, let's just say the guys weren't too kind and generous to our young netter today.
Oh! Let's see if we can save it.
That's on video. That's going on your graduation. Get him, Bo. He's in that rigger.
Can you get him, Bo?
No.
Now he's got him. Oh, Bo. Whoa, did we save your skin?
That was almost a disaster. Well, we poked some fun at Bo, but it was great to see this next generation of anglers learning how this all works. And speaking of generations, we had Jim Carr on board. He has been fishing this port since the 70s and a charter boat captain for almost 40 years. It was fun to hear his perspective on the fishing today.
What I'm encouraged by is that the fish are awesome. They're healthy, they're good looking. They're as good as looking as anything I've seen in all the years I've been fishing. Of course, we don't have the abundance like we used to have, but a lot of that's caused from several things. But I'm thankful for that quality that we have. I mean, it's second to none in that regards.
And tell me a little about this Fish On for Freedom. How did you get involved in that?
Oh wow! Well, the young fellows here in town start put that together for the veterans, and like with Adam. That's been something that, of course, been like Rod and I here. We both are veterans, and we appreciate that we do things like that for guys that put their name on the line.
And when and where did you serve?
I was in the Army.
Okay.
I ended up in the 82nd, and I didn't have to go overseas. You know, for the guy that's sitting next to me, when I was in there, I was in a support entity, and it takes 37 of us to keep one of him out there.
Really?
Yep. So I appreciate what he's done.
Yeah, Rod, where did you serve and when were you in?
I was in Vietnam, 67, 68.
Okay.
Year out of high school.
Wow. Army or?
I was in the Army, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did tight lines up to Manistee for, 9 out of the 10 years, which I didn't have this year. Then Fish On for Freedom here in Ludington. I continued to do that all but the first year. I just didn't want anybody treated the way I was treated, any vet that I was treated when I come back to Vietnam. It never happened again in my lifetime. So it's just giving it back. It's when I'm on these boats, this is a fluke. I don't receive. I rather give than receive. I don't usually tell a vet that I'm a vet. It's not about me. You know, my personal reward is to watch them enjoy something that's given freely.
Well, thank you for your service.
I served in the Marines in 1969 and 70. I served in Vietnam from 69 to 70.
And have you been part of this Fish On for Freedom before? Or?
Never have. This is great.
Yeah, what do you think of this whole deal?
Oh, this is really nice. It's a lot of fun. We're blessed with great weather today.
I got drafted in 1963 through 65. Went to Germany.
Okay.
Got switched from the American Army to the NATO Army. And worked with the Belgian Army. Which was interesting because they didn't speak English or German. Spoke French and Flemish, and they had all the vehicles. So every time you went anywhere, you better know where you're going because we can't talk.
When you get some veterans to talk about their service, well, I suggest you sit and listen. What great things you may learn. The fishing was good today. Not on fire, but steady. Mark ran us through what seemed to be working best.
Oh, well, actually, we're finding them a little bit on the south side of the saddle out here in front of Ludington.
Okay.
90, 95 seems to be the best right now, off the bottom. with the Spin Doctor. Chrome Spin Doctor seems to be the best with spinning lows, white wings, and basically just going about 2.0, 2.2 at the ball. A little bit faster than normal, but doing pretty good. The guys haven't missed one yet, knock on wood. So they're doing well.
Is anybody catching kings at all out today or no?
We had one report. Bo's family went north around the stick. They've got about a 12-pound king. It's the only other silverfish I know of. I think Hiatus had one on Adam's boat, but that's about it. We got one steelhead here that we got lucky on, so yeah, they're a little bit scattered today.
Okay. And then so most of these are coming off the bottom then?
Yes, yep. Everything's been off the bottom. Wire divers been the best. We got one rigger we're bouncing. The wire divers down on the bottom, and then the steelhead came on a 5-color.
Nice one.
I'm ready. You good?
Get out of the way, Bo. Get it right.
Today was special for several reasons. First and foremost, the ability to say thank you to some very appreciative vets is always a great way to spend a day. Thanks to all who have served. Second, I was struck by something today. We had a 40-year charter captain, Jim Carr, on board, a legend on these docks. We also had Adam Knutson on board, an angler in his prime and a better guy and fisherman you will not find. But we also had Bo Waite on board, which represents the anglers and charter captains of the future. So we had the legend, one of the best anglers on the lake, and the next generation, all represented today. What a cool thing to see and be a part of. Let's hope we have folks to help keep this tradition here in Ludington and on so many of our ports across this great state, alive and well here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
Whether you ask people in our great state of Michigan or you mention it anywhere else in the country, Lake St. Clair is synonymous with bass fishing. In this next story, we headed out on the lake to try to squeeze in a trip. We just had a few hours to get it done before a storm moved in. We had a lot of fun out there.
Well, it's Jobby Nooner today, but we're going smallmouth fishing. So for anybody that doesn't know, Jobby Nooner is the skip day for just about anybody in the free boating world nowadays, but it started way back. Lake St. Clair has a party area that's quite much like Mardi Gras, if you will, on the fresh water. So we're going to avoid that area entirely, and we're going to stick to some nice smallie areas. And I was out walleye fishing this morning. We did really, really well, but smallmouth season, the catch and keep season, just opened up last weekend. So we're going to go out and we're going to throw some artificial baits with one of my good buddies, Mark Modrak, fellow pro staffer at Rose Marine, and we're going to go throw some artificial baits. Something not very typical for this guy, because I usually use shiners and live bait, which is old school. It's something I love doing, but we'll see if Bass Pro teaches me a couple of lessons. So, you know, of course, we're going to pinch this in at a quick little get after them, land as many as we can, because we're faced with some pretty adverse conditions. We got some storm conditions coming in, probably about 8, 9 o'clock. Hopefully they push a little south from us, but we're hoping that because we got a little knowledge on this lake, a little insider knowledge, because we grew up here, that we can get Jenny on some smallies here pretty quickly.
Joel and Mark were up for the challenge of squeezing in a last-minute fishing trip out here on Lake St. Clair. We headed out to the flats in a shallow area of Goose Bay, and the first spot the guys fished wasn't producing, so they wasted no time moving on. Mark brought along his own GPS information with some areas that worked for him last weekend during a tournament, so they picked up and headed there. Mark talked about what the smallmouth are doing this time of year.
Right now, like Joel said, the fish are coming off the spawn. They're leaving their spawning flats, and now they're moving back out to feed. You know, while they're on the beds, they don't really eat much. You know, about the only thing they eat is something that comes in to disturb the eggs. So now they're done with that. The females and males are moving off the beds. They're coming out to the breaks in the river, breaks in the lake, and then they start getting on the feed. So we're right in that little transition period where the fish are just starting to move. So probably another week or so, you know, they'll be out on the breaks. You'll be able to catch them on jerk baits, swim baits, tubes, and you know, the fishing will get a little bit better. That area is a big spawning flat, and the rock bass usually move in after the smallmouth move out, and they're either there to either use the beds because they're lazy, they're not going to use the same bed, you know, they don't want to build it. If somebody else already did it, they're going to move in. So, or they're in there to eat eggs or fry.
The guys were doing well finding the smallies in this more challenging transition period the fish are in right now. They were throwing tube jigs, swim baits, and some small Ned rigs out here, and were having a blast connecting with some feisty fish.
This little guy, but that's the future. You know, these are good, healthy fish. So a couple more years, it'll be a 3-pounder.
Okay. What is it about smallmouth?
Oh, it's the fight. Usually when they hit, they're so vicious. It's you know, they fight harder, you know, pound per pound more than any other game fish out there. And you know, I don't know. It's you know, people ask me that all the time. You know, well, why do you like it? It's hard to explain. It's like anything else. You know, it's when it's a passion, you love to do it. You know, like Joel says, you know, fish tournaments, fish all the time. You can never get enough of it. It's just been something I've always liked to do, and there's nothing better than when you get a tug on the end of that line, you get to set the hook. And it's you know, Lake St. Clair is by far the best lake in the country for 3 to 5 pound smallmouth.
It's fun to watch anglers who have such a passion for one particular species of fish. It never seems to matter if the fish are big or small. They're just excited to connect with them. Mark offered a great tip for catching more smallmouth.
A lot of people, they make a mistake, they get bit and they set the hook too soon. On a swim bait, what happens is the bass is usually going to come up, grab it, and then try to gulp it again. Well, you'll feel that first initial bite, and they set the hook and they end up pulling the bait out of their mouth. So usually what I like to do, count in my head, you know, like to 3 and then set the hook. So, but we're doing this on bait casting tackle, and this got 12-pound test line on it. It's fluorocarbon, and it's pretty good tactic for out here.
Oh, nice dark smallie. Great one. Wow, what a cool looking fish.
That big smallmouth we caught, you notice it was really dark. I've always been told that the darker they are means they're more of a resident fish. So they're not like a big schooling fish where they're out roaming. They basically stay in one spot, and then once they turn, and like this is shallow here, and that dark, when they turn dark, they can absorb more sunlight. So it keeps them warm, keeps them active, you know. So that's my thought. Could be wrong.
Great color.
Beautiful fish.
That's got to be a 19, 20-inch fish.
I see that.
That's what we came here for.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
So powerful. Look at the tail, so thick. Just these things, they live in this current. This is awesome fish.
Awesome fish. It looks so dark. It looks like a Canadian lake fish.
Yeah.
A gorgeous fish indeed. Joel has been fishing here his whole life and has an undying passion for Lake St. Clair and the St. Clair River.
This whole area in the St. Clair Flats is so unique. The adversity of the fishery, the types of fish that we're able to catch, I love it. I'm very fortunate to have grown up here just on the other side on Little Muscamute on Harson's Island, and have been able to experience so many great things on the lake. Absolutely incredible.
The fishery here on Lake St. Clair is world class. If you're looking for a fun adventure this summer, be sure to include this amazing water wonderland in your plans. It's a beautiful place that never disappoints, and it's right here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
When it comes to fishing here in the great state of Michigan, we have so many opportunities. One of the things that has really taken off over the last 5 to 10 years has been fishing out of a kayak. And some of the new things that are out there make it that much more easy to hit the water. Well, hey, we are here today in Grand Haven, Michigan, just a couple miles from home here, and we're here with Carl Tucker, Earth's Edge, kind of the kayak superstore, if you will, for most of Michigan, but especially West Michigan. And we just wanted to talk today a little bit about brand new kayaks that are out there for fishermen. They've come a long way. And Carl, before we get into that, just kind of how long have you been doing this, kind of the outdoor superstore here in West Michigan?
Yeah, we started in 1994 in downtown Grand Haven, and sort of worked our way out to this store through a couple other locations. But yeah, we've been at it since, well, for 26 years now.
Wow, so you're getting it figured out?
Starting to.
Well, so I was in here the other day, saw some of these kayaks, and we just got talking about them, and they've come a long way in the last 5 to 10 years. What are some of the innovations when it comes to fishing kayaks that you've seen?
Biggest thing with fishing kayaks, it's been a huge growth in this industry. And the biggest thing is, I mean, kayaks in general have come a long ways, but fishing especially. And what you'll see is, one that you see a lot of people using are the pedal drives. Yeah. A lot of people are looking at these things, and I mean, they're incredible for fishing. It takes hands-free. You can actually fish, you control with these things, so it makes a world of difference. Another thing is, just like any other industry, technology has moved the kayak industry in a huge direction. Hull designs, stability.
Yeah, because some of these you can stand up and...
100%. This boat right here, you can stand up in easily. Another thing is comfort. Everybody wants comfort. Yeah. And so basically, this is basically like sitting in a lawn chair fishing.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Now, so when it comes to these, I've seen different kinds of drives for, now these pedal drives, is it, you can go forwards and backwards? How does that work? Like if you're in a river, is it enough to slow you down?
The biggest thing with our rivers in Michigan is you want to pay attention to what river you're in. Like if you're in the White or something like that, later on in the summer, it starts getting really rocked out. So quite often what you can do is just take this lower unit right off of there and just drift the river with the boat and fish. Okay. And then when you're in deeper water, engage the drive. Okay. Or you can just leave it in the truck.
Yeah, and how, so these drop down and back and forth? Is that how they work then?
Yep, there's numerous drives out there. There's some with like the fin drives and things like that. What we really like about this company, we carry like 3 different companies that have pedal drives and fishing boats. But the one thing we really like about Native is this is basically just like a lower unit of an outboard motor. Super dependable. They're the first ones to have it so you can actually do it in reverse also, which is huge. Like if you're fishing, let's say bluegills, and you're fishing off the beds, you can actually keep, even with current, you can keep off the bed and keep in the position you want to be.
And when it comes to accessories, it seems like there's a lot of different things that you can, like this one here, it has this, you know, rod holders on a separate box and all that kind of stuff. What are some of the stuff you recommend for people that are getting into kayak fishing?
Yeah, I mean, accessories are endless, endless. There's companies like Yak Attack is one that we carry. All they carry is kayak accessories. That's all they produce. They have thousands of SKUs. But rod holders that lock in, you can get GPS holders, you can get fish finders for these things. Anchor trolleys where you actually put it on here and you can anchor off and you can set the boat so you're right in the current. So
what do you recommend when it comes to paddles?
That's a big thing, whether you're getting into recreational, fishing, touring, big time touring. The paddle is as important as the boat. A lot of people will go out and they'll buy a boat and they'll be just like, just give me that paddle, I'm out of here. The size of the paddle is a big thing from end to end. Some boats dictate the width of the paddle, and sometimes people do.
So the wider the kayak, the longer you want it. Okay.
Exactly. Another thing is materials. I mean, you go from aluminum, you go to fiberglass, you go to carbon fiber. Paddle makes a huge difference. Blade shape also plays a huge role. This is what you call more of a power blade. It's a little wider set blade, instant stop-start power, whereas a touring blade, something more like this, see how it thins down a little bit? You get a 17-foot touring boat up to speed, you don't need a whole lot to keep it going. But if you're in the river or you're fishing and you need to move quickly, having that stop-start power is huge.
Now, on these fishing kayaks, you said, so they got the self-propel, and they actually, you can steer with a rudder on a lot of them too, so you still have a paddle.
Yeah, highly recommend. I mean, anything can go wrong. These drives are super reliable, but it's just having a backup paddle. You get into an area that's just huge weeds, you don't want to have your prop down. You want to just paddle through it.
You would take this out, launch your boat, then you can kind of stick this to the side and go right to the drive.
There's holders, you can break them down, stick them behind you, the whole 9 yards. Most of these are a 2-piece paddle, they'll break right in half. And so, yeah, easy to take with you.
And so bluegill up to salmon, you can do the whole thing either?
Anything that we have that swims in Michigan, you can fish them on a kayak.
If you're an angler here in the great state of Michigan and have never tried fishing off of a kayak, you might just be missing out. Thanks to all the folks at Earth's for showing us what's available here in the great state of Michigan when it comes to kayak fishing.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you join us in upcoming weeks, and throughout the summer we'll have all sorts of adventures headed your way. And if you'd like to see where we are and where we're headed next, you can always keep in touch with us online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online is a great way to kind of keep tabs on us. You can always check us out at our website. We're also on most of the social media platforms that are out there. And if you're ever on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel there and get an email every time we post something new. Been out doing some really cool stuff of late. I think on next week's show, we're going to have not only some bow fishing, but some underwater spearing as well. So some really unique stuff there. You won't want to miss that. If we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by...
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
DTE believes to lead, we have to do what's right. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years. DTE.
Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. George,